welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is time for another roster review. Now, two things on the roster review really quick. First is I have a lot of people requesting that we do a roster review of lower level tiered players, level 40, 50, and 60. Couple of things on that. One, all of these roster reviews can be helpful for you, even if you're a lower level, because you can see what you should be striving for, what you should be focused on, and it can get you a game plan as to where you're headed. So even if it is a level 85 character, it still applies if you're level 55. The second is I have over 60 patrons. These are people who financially support me and my channel, and these roster reviews are exclusively a benefit to being a patron. So those individuals are going to be who I do these roster reviews for, and I can't dictate what their rosters look like. Rather, wherever they're at in the game, that is where I'm going to assess how they're doing. So a bunch of people that are level 85 support me, that's what I'm going to be doing, or a bunch of level 85 roster reviews. If I get people who are lower level who wish to support me, of course, those rosters will be reviewed, and you will see from time to time a few of those creeping in to my roster reviews. Now, let's move forward. We are talking about the Torr. The Torr is in a brand new alliance called the Alliance. This is the beta team, and the Alliance is huge and is a new spin-off or break from the old Team Skunk. I'm pretty excited about the Alliance. I think that this is a really fun and good alliance for people to become aligned with. So if anyone is looking for a good team, the Alliance group is definitely the way to go for sure, as they are going to be very large, much like Team Skunk is. So as far as the Torr overall, he's been playing for about a year, which is pretty good. And you'll notice he has some overpowered characters, but he also has a lot of undeveloped roster. And what that means is a couple of things, which are very important. One, he's in a phenomenal guild and has been, because guilds will make or break you. They will determine whether you have a character such as he has. Right there you can look and you can see General Kenobi. General Kenobi is because he's in a good guild. There's no other way to get him. Same thing with if you're going to go Rancor and unlock Han Solo. So you're going to want a really good guild. Plus, the guild gives you lots and lots of guild currency, which you can use to buy raid gear and raid gear from the raids. So a guild is the most important decision you'll ever make in this game if you want to progress. The other thing is he is a little bit of a dolphin. I wouldn't put him on whale status like me, but I would say that he is a dolphin because there are a few things that I can tell that even after a year, there's some of that development wouldn't have occurred without just a little bit of a nudge here and there, which is not a bad thing. I think that if you enjoy the game, and it's something you enjoy, then why not invest a little bit if you have that capability. Now, his arena squad looks phenomenal. He's arena rank 2, which is current, and you fluctuate all the time. So he's probably top 5, between 1 to 5 every single day. My guess is he probably fights for that number 1 spot every day. So that is really good. I don't have a whole lot of critique on the arena squad. I do notice that he has Shore Trooper, and I'm guessing that's because he has a lot of people that are going off quick, and he needs to be able to absorb that. He also has an extremely fast TIE fighter in like 260s, and a really fast Boba Fett. So he's got the ability block and the buff immunity. He gets to play down pretty quickly, and he gets the critical hit immunity and the oddball taunts from General Kenobi. So this is an excellent arena team. The only suggestion I would make, and this is just for fun, I don't know how fast you're getting your Zeta materials, but Boba Fett in arena with his Zeta is a bit irritating when he kills one of your characters, and then he gets all of his protection back after you just worked all his protection off to try to kill him. So you don't have him Zeta'd. It would be kind of fun in arena to throw the Zeta on his unique. It's not a huge Zeta advantage like Darth Vader's Zeta helps you with both arena and helps you with the Rancor raid. So there are some more valuable Zetas out there, such as Beerus, Darth Vader, Darth Maul's pretty fun. But definitely Boba Fett, it would just add a little more level of irritability for the players having to play you. So I don't really have a whole lot to say about your arena team. I think you built it well. You have a lot of really good mods, which is phenomenal. And then if we just glance over, which I can do now because of the newest update, to your fleet, I can see that you're just 1 star away from maxing out your current Admiral Akbar ship, and that is an excellent ship, and you're using, it's a great balanced ship. And now with how fast you can make ship battles, really using Mace isn't good. Mace was a timeout team mentality. It's really, really difficult if you have the right ships for Mace to even be viable at this point with that, if you have enough people who can take away the taunts. So Admiral Akbar still probably the most balanced character in the game as far as his ship goes with all the newest changes. You have Biggs and Wedge and Jedi Consular, so we'll keep those in mind when we're doing the review, as well as Darth Vader's ship at 4 star, which is viable at 4 star, and Ahsoka's, which I feel like that's an excellent setup, and I'll go over that in a minute as to why. But you're in the top 10, which means you probably compete for somewhere in the top 5 every single day as well. I know that drops a little bit, and I noticed arena, there's a lot more competition than there used to be because people will now want to do ships because it's really, really fast. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and go into your squad, your inventory, and we're going to look at what you have, and we're going to skip the traditional light side, dark side. I know for a fact you have enough characters, light side and dark side, to compete and probably do every light side node and dark side node, and of course Cantina. You have plenty of characters that you can mishmash for an arena team that you could take into Cantina, as well as Galactic War. So we're going to start to kind of be nitpicky. This is a kind of a high level roster, and we want to make sure that we're giving you the best advice possible. So we're going to go ahead and skip all the basics and go straight to clones, and you are one of those people who have clones and have them all pretty much maxed out. That's pretty exciting. I do want to see a couple of the characters. You have his unique Zeta, and you have his leadership Zeta. Excellent. So you have the Zetas on your clones. I would be interested to know how well your clone team does if you were to put all of your best mods, critical chance, critical damage, speed, and tons of protection, secondaries as well as protection primaries, how well you would do as far as arena. I'd be curious to know. I have a couple of people in my arena who do clones and do very, very, very well. But this is very cool. I'm guessing that you're using clones for P2 or P4. Most people use clones now for P2, phase 2 of the heroic AAT. So that's excellent. You have a team for phase 2 completely built out, and your clones look excellent. As far as droids, there really is only the 4 droids to the left that you really want to focus on, and you're doing clones for phase 2, so you don't need droids for phase 2. Although you'll notice, like the droid event that just came out this weekend, that you probably can't do the last tier, and that's just because droids have not been a staple for you. However, because B2 and IG88 have cross compatibility with other teams, I would at minimum recommend, since you have your clones, I would at minimum still recommend finishing off IG88 for your Scoundrel team, and B2, because B2, you definitely want to get to gear 11, is a lot tankier at gear 11 than gear 10, and B2 is an excellent and very viable tank for many, many, many things. He is a disruption to any meta. What I mean by that is there are certain characters that disrupt certain teams and their strengths as far as buffing and as far as, foresight and, trying to get critical chance up and all sorts of crazy stuff. B2 will prevent that from occurring. So B2's excellent. Plus B2 will put evasion down, which is critical. And this is why, especially because the Maul meta, Darth Maul and all of them are getting evasion and stuff now. That's the evasion is starting to come back again a little bit with, the Dooku's and things. So B2, just on his basic, which he gets to go a lot because every time one of your guys is hit, he'll get a 40% chance of going again. B2 will be able to put evasion down on his basic. So I would recommend finishing off B2 and finishing off IG88. Now, Empire is a staple. What I mean by that is there's kind of the 4 pillars of the game, 4 teams, 4 pillars that you should always focus on, especially if you're free to play. 1 is Rebels, 2 is Droids, 3 is Empire, and 4 is Jedi. Jedi, so you can unlock Yoda, and you have a team for Phase 1. Rebels, so you have a team for Phase 4 or Phase 2, as well as be able to get Emperor Palpatine. Droids for potentially Phase 2 of the raid, and all these teams, by the way, are viable in Rancor to help you in the Rancor raid, and you can also use droids for, you know, different events and whatnot. And then the 4th would be Empire, and Empire is excellent for a lot of reasons, plus they're the current kind of meta, and so they've been viable and they will continue to be viable. So those 4 pillars are, like, especially free to play, the 4 kind of teams you want to focus on and build. The Empire is also really easy to gear for the most part. Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine are some of the easiest characters that you can gear up, so that's excellent. Your Empire look great. You have Death Trooper up. Now, the only reason to really have Death Trooper up and Director Krennic not up would be if you are going to use Death Trooper's ship that they have with Shore Trooper. So if you have that ship and you're going to use Shore Trooper and Death Trooper together in their ship, then that's excellent, and I would continue to develop. Otherwise, you can probably leave Death Trooper alone, since you're not working Director Krennic. Your Shore Trooper, TIE Fighter Pilot, Royal Guard, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, top 5, excellent. So I would recommend just continuing to finish off and develop them. And if you're going to, like I said, use the Death Trooper with Shore Trooper, then go ahead. Let's go ahead and see how your Ewoks look. So, of course, Ewok Elder, probably for Phase 3 of the raid, and T-Bow, which can surprisingly be used in Phase 1, but is also good for Rancor since the stealth mechanic has been fixed. Chief Chirpa is for Phase 3, actually. I misspoke. Ewok Elder was just a really phenomenal character in the past, especially for Rancor, but Chief Chirpa would be one that would be fun. I don't know who you're using in Phase 3 for the heroic raid, but if you're not doing the Chirpentine, which is short for Chirpa and Palpatine combination, you might want to spend a little bit of time on Chief Chirpa, and who knows, maybe they're going to bring out someone else like Wicket or someone, and when they do that, maybe they'll rework the Ewoks just a little bit. But these little fuzzy guys are probably the most synergistic original cast from this game in the game. So Chief Chirpa, maybe put him on as someone you want to work. Let's see how you've developed your First Order. So you're working on Kylo, it looks like. First Order TIE Pilot, it looks like, and Captain Phasma. Those would be arguably the 3 most important. The only real purpose for the First Order Stormtrooper or Officer would be to be able to complete the mod challenge. And you have them all 7 stars, so you should be able to gear them up. You really only need to get them to gear 8, probably for that mod challenge. But for the ships, I would do First Order TIE Pilot. I would gear him up, and he's only at gear 5, so that shouldn't be too hard to get him up. You're about halfway. And then Kylo Ren, if you're going to use him in Arena or in one of the raids like Phase 1 of the raid or something, you might want to finish him off as well. You have put a lot of energy into him. Why not continue going? But all in all, your First Order, it looks like you're focusing on not them as a synergistic team like clones, but rather them as specific characters for a specific purpose. Now, if you're going to get Kylo Ren's ship, you will have to do First Order Stormtrooper and make sure that First Order Stormtrooper is leveled up. The gear makes up 65% of the strength that the character brings into the ship. So if you don't gear a character, your ship's going to be pretty weak. So that is important, okay? All right, let's move on to, I know your fleet commander, you're using Admiral Akbar, and that's important. The other 2 I wouldn't worry about if Admiral Akbar is working for you. The other 2 are sufficiently high to complete anything that you would need to complete at this point. Not that you need any of these guys, but I wanted to take a look at them. Geonosian Soldier, of course, he's fun. Sunfac, I know that you're probably not utilizing him currently a whole lot, but you do have his ship, and he's one of the ships I will be recommending here in a few. So I would recommend you complete the Sunfac gearing. It's important to make his ship stronger. And if you're going to use his ship, you definitely want him geared up. And he's just an all-around phenomenal tank. He can put offense down, critical chance down. He can take away turn meter. He can taunt, obviously, because he's a tank. He has 50% counter chance, where he puts critical chance down every time practically he's hit. So he's just a really great, versatile tank in the game. He's still to this day one of my all-time favorite, and he's a disruption meta character as well. Disruption meta meaning he disrupts any of the current and previous metas that have been out. He's just one of those very irritating characters like B2 that on the opposing side, when you see them, you know you're going to be in for a ride, because they're going to foil the plans that you're attempting to do. So that's that. As far as, let's move on to healers. You do have Beerus. I'm curious, did you Zeta her? Not yet. So that is a unique ability. What I mean by that is literally it's called a unique ability. So that would be worth a Zeta, and this is why. It's not a leadership ability. You're not stuck with that character to be a leader. So Kylo Ren it's a great ability to do because it's unique. Beerus is an excellent Zeta to use because it's unique. So those are both awesome. The only other healers in here is Jawa Engineer, obviously for your droid team if you are going to further them, or for your Jawa team. And then Old Daka. Old Daka's pretty low, but at this point in the game you probably don't need her anymore because you've got so many other really high powered characters in the game. Although if they ever rework the Night Sisters, Old Daka will be fun for sure. And then Jedi Consular is the only one on this list I see other than Beerus that I would suggest. So I would suggest working on Beerus, getting her leveled up, and also Jedi Consular. And why Jedi Consular? Because you're using his ship in your primary lineup. And you're in the top 10, so you're doing good in ships. But Jedi Consular's ship, 65% of what he brings into his ship's power comes from his gear. So if you don't gear him up, his ship will be significantly underpowered. So if you really want to bring in some of those additional stats, get this guy geared up, and that is one of your base ships. So if you really want to make it much more durable and strong and heavier hitting, you got to get his gear up. So Jedi Consular for sure, and then Beerus potentially. As far as your Jawas, you got them high enough that you should be able to go right through the Jawa challenge. So that is good, but it doesn't look like you're probably using them for any other purpose, which is fine. Now let's take a look at Jedi. I'm kind of excited about Jedi. You've got your 7-star Yoda. You've got Jedi Knight Anakin, which is excellent. You do use Ahsoka in the ships, so you've got her up. That is excellent. Use Jedi Consular. I've already said you want to get his ship up. The rest on the top, I've already said Beerus and Jedi Consular to work on. The only one on this entire list that I see that I would suggest developing and working on, and it looks like you are, is Aayla Secura. She's a great leader in P1. She's a great counter to any meta. She's very, very, very tanky, very durable. And if you mod her with critical chance, she will make sure she counters and stuns the opponents, and stuns will always be counter meta. Stuns are an excellent thing. You always want stuns if you can. Stuns are excellent. So Aayla would be great to develop. I would definitely suggest her as a #1 pick for your Jedi to work. Except for Jedi Consular, I would do both of them. So those would be the two in this section that I would work on, is Jedi Consular for ships and just Aayla, so you have a backup for lots of different purposes in the game in lots of different areas. I'm not worried about Night Sisters. I've already looked at them. You haven't really worked them, and that's good. I know Asajj Ventress, you've got her starred and you're gearing her up. She's kind of fun. She has a little bit of a niche ability in the new meta. If you have her unique maxed out, because she gets that extra speed at the beginning, she can debuff the other team. So if they have an auto taunt, she's a way to get around that. She does, when she's maxed out, kind of hit for a lot too. She has self-healing properties. So, she's definitely not a bad character. She's just more niche, meaning you got to use her in a specific team with a specific purpose for it to really work right. Of course, Phoenix doesn't exist yet. We only have the one character that's unlocked, or that's locked up. Let's look at your Rebels. Rebels, I mean, at this point, there's not a whole lot of reason to go back and work any of these rebels like Cassian or Biston or Scarif Rebel Pathfinder or even Han Solo. I like Han Solo personally. He's just fun. But, you know, you don't have to do him. You have Jyn a little bit, but these characters are best at 7 stars, Biston and Cassian, and unless you're doing the chromiums right now, you're not going to get them unlocked. So you have Baze. He is a great standalone tank. You have Biggs and Wedge. You have Stormtrooper Han. You've got Chirrut. And the Baze combo, of course, and Lando, which can give more damage as well as more speed. So it looks like you've got plenty. Plus, you have Princess Leia. I'm sure you're doing Princess Zodi in the heroic AAT. That's why you have her maxed out, and that's pretty cool. So your rebels look phenomenal. I wouldn't work any of these guys. Let's see how your resistance are. So Rey and Poe. And you don't really have Poe that high or Finn that high. If you're going to use Poe's ship, you definitely want to gear him up the rest of the way. And you will want to get the rest of your resistance up to at least gear 8/9, probably 9, because they're a little bit softer as far as the trooper and pilot go. So that way you can complete the speed mod challenge. And the speed mod sets are really, really important because speed is kind of everything on every team. It's who can go first in ability block or who can lay down the buff immunity first, things like that. And so you know this, you have a lot of really great mods. And so if you don't want to have to buy a ton of speed mods out of the store or something like that, I would definitely get these guys up enough that you can use them. Obviously, they're very viable in Arena, but if you don't want to focus on resistance, you don't have to. They're just one of many teams that are viable now in the game. Now let's go ahead and take a look at your Scoundrels. This is what I was most excited about, and it looks like you have the standard 4, the Boba Fett, Stormtrooper Han, Lando, and IG-88. Those 4 can sail you through on any of these Scoundrel events. However, you need a 5th one just to be a placeholder in any of those events, and so it looks like you have Dengar and Clone Wars Chewbacca. Chewbacca will work. He's tankier than Dengar, but Dengar's kind of fun too. I think the only character on, or the team, the person on here that I would suggest would be even more fun than either one of those is Han Solo, that you've undeveloped. He'd be kind of a fun project to develop, and with your team, you will end up getting him 7 stars anyway, but you're probably waiting for him to be 7 stars before developing him in your mind. So you could continue to use Clone Wars Chewbacca. I would not do any more development to Clone Wars Chewbacca, though. I would just keep him where he's currently at. As far as Sith goes, you don't have the Sith Assassin or Trooper up or Savage up, and that's okay. They're probably, of all the Sith, 3 of the lower end Sith. Your Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine are great. Your Darth Sidious and Dooku look like they're coming along great. So it looks like the 2 you're really focused on developing is Darth Nihilus and Darth Maul. Darth Maul for his ship, and Darth Nihilus just because he's kind of the newest, shiniest thing that they've put in front of us in the last few months as far as one of the best of what they've provided. I have seen a ton of footage on Darth Nihilus, and really he's really hard to make viable in Arena. A lot of these teams are cutting through and killing Darth Nihilus way before he ever gets a chance to use his Annihilate. But he is fun in the raids. He does a lot of damage there, and he's a great Sith, and he'll be great on a Sith team. So if you want to make a Sith team, then continue to develop your Darth Nihilus, Darth Sidious, and Count Dooku. But of all of these, the one I would really put all your energy and effort into would be Darth Maul, because Darth Maul, his ship is just amazing in the game. I mean, when he's in your lineup, in your first 5, which he's not currently, but if he was, everybody would automatically come in with target lock on them. And you could actually replace your Darth Vader with the Scimitar, and the Scimitar works phenomenally well with the Biggs Admiral Akbar combo. So just something to think about. But Darth Maul would be the one in here that I would really focus on the most. And last but not least is your Tuscans. You're missing 2 of them. The other one you have undeveloped, and that is a good thing until they add another 5 Tuscans and create some new synergy. The Tuscans are really a waste of time. So what we're going to do now is go over to your ships, where I'm going to make some suggestions in your ships. So here's your fleet again. You're in the top 10. You've got Ahsoka for the dispelling. You've got the Jedi Consular to kind of keep everybody buffed up with protection, and he calls an assist. You've got Wedge and Biggs combo, which is a phenomenal tank slash offense attacker for Admiral Akbar. And then, of course, you've got your Darth Vader for that target lock. So that's excellent. So let's go ahead and look at your inventory for ships. So I noticed the first thing is you're pretty much using everything in the top and not using anything down here, which is fine. I do see you have the scimitar as far as it's unlocked at 5-star, but it's not leveled up yet. So I would definitely incorporate that into your top 5 for ships. And then as far as your backup lineup, I would put probably Darth Vader in your backup lineup is in your like back 3. You could probably also put Slave 1 in there, and or you could put the Imperial TIE Fighter, but I would definitely put in your first slot the Sunfac as for your first backup. So have Sunfac as your first backup, have maybe Slave 1 in your second, and the Imperial TIE Fighter in 3, or flip-flop the Imperial TIE Fighter in Slave 1. But those would be how I would have them, and I would say that I would almost rather you get your scimitar up and geared up as far as Darth Maul and replace Darth Vader's ship, but maybe you would disagree with that statement. I just know that I don't have Darth Vader's ship, and I have scimitars, and I know scimitar, it's just non-stop target lock. Everybody gets target lock. It's given to everyone that comes in as a backup, and real easy to give it as well. So anyway, just a thought. If you want to keep Darth Vader on there, you might want to think about pulling Jedi Consular and putting in Scimitar in Jedi Consular's spot, since they're both kind of a support team for yours. But that's all I would do for ships. You're doing really well in both ships and in arena. So, back to your characters. All in all, overall, as far as what you're doing, you've got all the characters you probably should have. I don't see any real glaring significant mistakes or anyone that you're farming you shouldn't. I don't see a ton that I would pause. Most of them you're seeing on this screen I wouldn't worry about, although Ayla and First Order you might want to spend a little bit of time on, maybe Chief Chirpa, if you want to have a little fun. But down here I don't really see anyone that you should focus on or worry about. I know Han Solo would be kind of fun, and at some point when they make them farmable, the rebels like Jyn Erso and Cassian might be fun to invest in, but same with the Sith as well. But I would just wait on all of those because they're not farmable right now. As always, I hope that this has helped you as well as others. Keep gaming on. Warrior out.